Welcome to our program on Kardec Radio.
Welcome, dear friends, to the Spiritist Society of Virginia and Kardec Radio here on Fridays Inspirational Talks. We are inviting you to a must. It's a conversation we cannot skip. We're going to talk about death. Death is not a morbid thing, though many people may think so. It's about the recycling of the body, and it's about opening doors to a new life. We're going to begin by recalling our message tonight before the prayer is a quote from Jesus talking to the renowned dialogue. It's talking to Bartholomew. Bartholomew, it's chapter 8 of the book Good News. And at a certain moment, Bartholomew shares with Jesus his feelings about the death of his mom. And now during the pandemic, friends, who hasn't experienced the departing of a loved one? If not due to coronavirus, but other diseases, other types of death. How do we deal with it? We're talking about a mass, a collective death. Yes, thousands of people daily are departing, often without the last goodbye. How do we process it? Is it okay to feel sad? So, this beautiful dialogue between Jesus and Bartholomew has a certain moment in which Bartholomew talks about how he feels. He asks, Master, would our sadness be justifiable when we lose a loved one? And Jesus replied, but who is lost if God is the Father of all of us? If those buried in the mud of crime will glimpse one day the dawn of redemption, why lament in desperation the friend who has departed due to the call of the all-powerful? The death of the body opens doors to a new world for the soul. Nobody will truthfully be an orphan on earth, inasmuch as nobody will ever be abandoned, because everything is from God, and we all are His children. That is why each disciple of the gospel has to be a sower of peace and joy. Let us pray together, feeling these very words, the most consoling words we could ever hear on earth at this time. Jesus' words. I will play here some background music just so we feel this beautiful therapeutic moment that we're building together. All right, I'm going to use the morning prayer song. Dear Mother, Father God, we would like to express our gratitude for this moment. We feel the presence of illuminated minds from the beyond who have loving hearts emanating their grace onto us. Thanks to you. Treating us with their therapy. Thank you so much for this opportunity. of nourishing our souls with Spiritism. And at a moment when death becomes a collective experience, we need your help, shedding light onto our discernment and much healing to all of our hearts. We pray for those who departed and for those who stay, hoping that we trust your designs. May we be easygoing in this experience that has been a replay from so many lives. May this life we deal with death in a more calming and also in a more beautiful way, understanding new beginnings. May this moment be of therapy for those who are connected to us, to our neighbors, to everyone whom we are connected with. And we thank you, dear God, for allowing us to share the much that your messengers have already brought to us. And so be it. All right, so here we have Paloma and Carol. We are here together with you, friends. Welcome, welcome. And we're going to begin before the very study of the night about death, fear of death, what happens after death. Carol is going to share, first and foremost, a question and an answer of the Spirit's book. Okay, friends, Carol, please.
Yes, thank you, Vanessa. Oops. Okay, so tonight we are going to have the blessing of studying question 919 of the Spirit's book that is answered actually by St. Augustine in a beautiful dissertation that we will summarize for all of us here tonight. So let us begin. Kardec asks, what is the most effectual means of improving ourselves in this life and of resisting the pull of evil? This is a brilliant question because who amongst us doesn't want to improve ourselves and resist our own tendencies? So thank you, Kardec, for asking this brilliant question. And St. Augustine comes back with a concise and yet equally brilliant answer. St. Augustine tells us, a sage of antiquity has told you, know thyself. So if we would like to continue boosting our progress, and as Vanessa reminded us tonight already, we can set the pace of our own progress. So if we would really like to boost our spiritual evolution using our reasoning and the light of our faith, the key is self-knowledge. And St. Augustine, in this beautiful question, tells us, invites us to every night examine our own conduct and take note of what we have done well and what we could improve on. St. Augustine asks us to observe our own actions at the end of the day as if we were an outside observer and then reflect upon how we would have felt if we were on the receiving end of the choices that we had made. Benjamin Franklin, at the age of 21, also devised a system through which he examined himself. He made a list of 13 virtues, and every week he would consciously hone onto practicing one such virtue. So we are being invited by St. Augustine, Ben Franklin, and the mentors who love us to get to know of our own tendencies so we can prune our tendencies and sculpt our feelings and thoughts so that we may vibrate higher and construct a beautiful journey for ourselves as we march towards better choices and later a better transition to the spiritual realm. Thank you, friends.
Sorry. All right. What a question, huh, Carol?
Super question. The key to our improvement, St. Augustine tells us. So we are so grateful to have the key in our hands now.
Yeah, that's why we tell people it's worthwhile always reading books of self-help, watching programs of self-help, and also doing therapy, because it's a way you don't need to do it all your life, but there are moments in our lives in which we need external help because somebody can see our lives from an angle we're not seeing, very neutral compared to everybody else in our life, and they can help us identify things we have not understood or seen or perceived. All right. So Spiritism brings us certainly tools to do that as well. And today we're going to step forward in that direction because we're going to talk about a topic that many people don't want to talk about: death. Who wants to talk about death, right?
Right.
It's imagine the feeling. You get out of your home and you don't come back ever again. And you don't take anything with you. And you can't go back. You can't go back. You can't take anything from it. You cannot even take your loved ones with you. And then that's pretty much the feeling. When people say, I'm ready for death, okay, then get out of your house empty-handed and feel like you're not coming back, you're not seeing anyone, you're not laying down on that bed, you're not eating from your fridge, you are not drinking from whatever you're drinking from. Okay, that's the feeling. Are we ready? Good question, right?
Right.
We're not going to say that we become homeless, but what happens from then on, it's different from what is happening now in terms of our routine, in terms of our attachments. It's a true invitation that breaks routine, it breaks attachments. So we're going to talk about things that are going to empower us to avoid mistakes, as question 919 of the Spirit's book was just explained to us by Carol. And we are also going to have the opportunity of marching forward in our progress in a more consistent way, coherent way. So let's go to some of the slides here, okay? Let me just open it up and quickly browse through some of them here. So here we have just a reminder that every Friday we are working on Kardec's books. Today we'll be studying mostly, but not only, the Heaven and Hell book. And You see, each and every week, we're going to browse through different books by Kardec. Next week's going to be the Genesis, and etc. And it goes on and on. While our children are in another channel at Kardec Radio and the Spirit Side of Virginia, learning about God and selflessness today. This Sunday, we start Leon Denis' book, After Death. Not the whole book, just the last 15 chapters. This Sunday is going to be phenomenal as a kickstart in terms of getting to know more about Leon Denis, his works, and much more, okay? Our beginning today is about life. Where does this fear of death comes from? So we're going to kickstart a little bit just by going straight to this feeling or this emotion, depends how conscious we are. In the Heaven and Hell book, chapter 2, part 1, Kardec mentions some of the reasons why, and his take is so uplifting. He says to us, the fear of death is, at once, a proof of the wisdom of providence and a consequence of the instinct of preservation, self-preservation, that is common to all living creatures. If you see animals, they don't jump to death like that. For example, if you get a dog and put fire near the dog's going to go away. And that's a good sign. It's self-preservation. So our bodies are built to preserve themselves. And this is beautiful. And so it's not bad to say, I don't want to die now. No, it's good. It's a sign that you appreciate what God has been giving you. But when death welcomes us or welcomes a loved one, we need to face that and understand that postponing it, like a friend of mine was telling me yesterday, he's 60 plus, and he said, Vanessa, if I am invited by death, and he said this poetically speaking, I'm not going to say no and say, I want to extend like a moratorium. I said, no, I'm going to surrender. Why is he saying that? Because some of us, we keep increasing our petition, saying, I want a little longer, and then a little longer may be disastrous. That's a story told by Divaldo Franco when he was much younger, and there was a man who was almost terminally sick. He had cancer, and he was the provider of the family, 6 children, the woman taking care of the family. Divaldo Franco was one of the people who was giving passes to him during that time. And Divaldo reminded himself, like, what is going to happen to this family if he dies? So Divaldo thought, I am going to ask God to give him more opportunities, because what's going to happen to this family? So he kept giving passes day after day, day after day. He doesn't mean he healed anybody, but he says the man got healed. And once the man got healed, he started, going to the Spiritist Center and getting to know more about the teachings. And then suddenly he disappeared. A year went by. One day, Divaldo opens the newspaper and sees that man in the newspaper. What happened to him? He was in prison. Why? He got better. At some point, he had a love affair. The wife found out. A big confusion. Gun in the middle of it all. And then he ended up being arrested. Divaldo said to us, I regret not understanding the designs of God and asking for more because, see, he would have been saved from himself. I know many people, we know, and many people have come to me saying, but I wish I had one more minute, one more day, one more month with that loved one. But my friend, for you, maybe it's going to be great, but you don't know in their lives. If they made a decision, if they had made a decision that was not appropriate, we would be sad for them. So understanding that it's okay to feel like we want to stay, but never to battle against life and death. The fear of death, therefore, results from insufficient knowledge of the future life. So there are two main reasons why we incur in this fear. First, it's self-preservation, but there's also this ignorance towards what the spiritual life is all about. That's why we're spiritists and we are here to go through this. So let's march towards the definition. What is death? And this is Kardec's very definition in the Spirit's book. Death is the destruction of the material body, which is the heaviest of human beings' two bodies. So you and I are composed, and I will correct something here. Spirit's book. All right. Go back. So here we have death is the destruction of the body, but not of us. I haven't died. I, as a spirit, I experienced the death of the body, but not of myself. Which other body do we have? The perispirit. Is almost like a quiz here. What is death? What are the two bodies, right? Karen Paloma.
Right. We love it. We love
quiz
quizzes.
away.
Yes. Thank you, Teresa.
So what is the other body? The perispirit that envelops us, the spirit. So this is how it looks. We, vibrating beings, enveloped. That's why it's called perispirit, because it's like enveloping the spirit. And then this perispirit connected to the other dimension, the physical body. So death is when this physical body does not sustain that connection any longer. Okay? But that doesn't mean we're discarnated. To discarnate is something else. Okay, I will repeat. Let us repeat. Death, the destruction of the material body. Discarnation is the next step when the spiritual body, the perispirit, in its connections with the physical body, detached, discarnated. Carn meaning flesh, getting out of the flesh in the sense of cutting the ties that were existent between the physical body and the spiritual body. That's discarnation. So, let's revisit this passage. It's in the book Heaven and Hell. It's one of the most interesting chapters. It's chapter 1 of part 2, talks about the passage. And here we have a picture to illustrate. This picture is from Dr. Robert Jensen, my spirit friend of the medium Clara Barnett. She used to be a medium and a teacher in spiritualism way back in Chicago. And these are the wonderful drawings explaining all these details. So here we have a woman whose body is dying, And the discarnation, as you see here, only two cords are seen, the umbilical cord and the cord that happens in our crown chakra. And the loving spirits coming to the rescue. Now, the extension of the physical life, the death of the body, will inevitably allow the rupture of the fluidic link. Remember, Spiritism is a science, so we use these terms, fluidic link. We could say, in lay terms, energetic link, but it wouldn't be appropriate because in Spiritism we have particular words that need to stay in place. Fluidic link. And once this rupture happens, then we are discarnated, separated from the physical body. What does this mean? That maybe somebody is with their body in the casket, in their very viewing, but not discarnated yet. Should you be afraid? Well, no. We should learn the rules of engagement and disengagement as well. So let us then talk about the moment in which organic life finishes, death, at that moment. The complete disengagement of the perispirit, so when death of the body occurs, and then when discarnation happens, the soul doesn't feel anything. That's the optimal scenario, right? Is that what we want? Yes, that's what we want. The body died, and then we discarnated, and we don't feel anything. But how do we achieve that level? We, the soul, do not feel the spiritual disturbance during the time. So here are the rules of disengagement and engagement in life, okay? If, Kardec says, if there is a strong connection, cohesion between the body, the physical body, and the spiritual body, the perispirit, then the separation will be painful. And you may be asking, oh my gosh, do I have strong cohesion? Is there a lab test that I can do? No, there is none, not here on earth. Maybe in the spiritual realm, they can detect it, but how can we identify if our connection, the physical body and the spiritual body are too glued together, like glued in such a way that it's almost like my perispirit is very dense. I'm not going to say as dense as the body, but denser than other perispirits, because the perispirit is semi-matter. What does define the cohesion? Our level of attachment. I will repeat. The more attached we are, the more painful death is going to be. Discarnation is going to be. Not death, discarnation. So, are we attached? And you may say, but Vanessa, I like my things. Okay, like is one thing. Care for it is one thing. Another is to love, to adore, not to live without. And there are people who are like this. They're so attached, they don't allow anybody to come close, to use it, anything. This is attachment. Here comes in our 11 p.m. show, okay? The 11, now we have a conversation. We need to stop the slide because this is like eye to eye conversation. We need to stop and eye to eye, okay? So here it is. If I am a person that is spending the whole day just taking care of the material life, not doing charity, and having excesses, if you have extra money, you buy something that is good for you, for your family, but who cares about somebody else who needs it? That's selfishness, attachment, greed. When we're constantly looking for the least we can pay. Some people think, oh, because I'm provident, you know, I don't want to spend. Okay, but that doesn't mean you're going to be cheap. Because behind the cheap things we buy, there is some forms of labor that is close to slavery. When say, oh, I bought it for so cheap, okay, but who worked to build it up? You are co-responsible for it because you don't care. If I don't care, I'm part of it. And then maybe today I'm living my life to the fullest, but at some point, the actions will come and present to us the reactions. So for us, in the 11 p.m., 2 days ago, we studied Andrea Lewis, the spirit doctor, talking about excesses in us. And he clearly says that if we do not focus our lives in detaching from things, we're going to regret it. Who says this? Every single good spirit that has come through thousands of mediums since ancient times. Excess in us. He says, if you open your wardrobe and you see something that you don't use, sell it, give it away, but do not keep it. Don't trash it out because that's not very wise. Give it to something. But give without feeling like, are they going to do good use? That's not your problem. That's between them and God. The money that you give, the things that you give. I know people who have a car in their garage. They don't use. But they say, I may use one day. They barely use the car. Or the car is missing one part. And they keep the car. One day I'll buy the part. Maybe one day. And the car is there. It's almost like a junkyard. They could have donated the car. And then let's talk about phone. How often we change a phone because we need. And then we keep the old ones. And then 10 years later, you have 10,000 phones. Why didn't you give away? Usually people say, I'll keep it in case I need it. Usually it doesn't happen. And then we keep it. Go Google it and say donation of phones or selling for, if you still want to sell. Nowadays, Facebook, there are 10,000 online yard sales, garage sales online. You can go participate, sell for something, but keep moving the stuff instead of storing. Because that energy that we're accumulating, those things we're accumulating, is something that others who need will lack. So, do we have strong cohesion between the spiritual body and the physical body? If we are attached, selfish, too much connected to material life, and some people say, I'm not materialistic, but I spend the whole day just doing the material things. And I do my prayers. Well, many materialistic people do prayers. That doesn't mean we're not materialistic. When we prioritize the material life, we are materialistic. But when we come across this knowledge, we should know better. So now we're going to go back and see the full story. So this is how it is. If I have weak cohesion between the body and the perispirit, easy separation for the soul. So for those who do not want to suffer during this incarnation, we need to learn to detach. So once a day, think about leaving your house and never coming back, in the sense of, what do I need to prioritize? What am I going to miss the most when I lock that door? Forever. I'm going to miss things, my bed, because I want to sleep there. the car, a particular object, people, relationships? What is it? And after death happens, the points of contact, that's the rule of thumb, between the body and the perispirit will make the soul feel the effect of decomposition if there are too many points of connection. Violent death is very hard for the spirit because everything is so fresh, still there's a lot of vitalization. That's why many people don't understand that it's a God's mercy when we go through certain suffering. Like, when you see people like gradually dying and like, oh, I wish. No, you don't wish anything, because maybe that is so helpful, detaching molecule by molecule from the physical body. Now, one more thing before I pass the word. Whoops. One more thing that I will say. I don't need to show. One more thing that we need to share here before we go deeper into this. What can we do practically in our daily lives to make sure that we are more detached? It's $1 million question. There is a Spiritist motto by Dr. Bezerra de Menezes we studied yesterday at 11 p.m. that summarizes it all. The recipe for easy discarnation is, who knows? Who knows? Who watched 11 p.m.? Carol.
I was there.
Okay, Carol, since you're going to speak next, go with the flow.
Charity.
Yes,
Charity.
Without charity, there's no salvation. Without charity, says Dr. Bezerra, we're going to the ruins of our lives. So if we want to recalibrate our connections, make our perispirits feel lighter, connected to the physical body, but not to the point that we are deeply rooted into that, we need to be charitable. What is charity? Charity is benevolence towards everyone, being of goodwill. Simple as that. Forget your agenda. I was talking to somebody the other day, and this lady said, I didn't want to talk to my husband. He wanted to talk to me. But I didn't want to talk to him back then. I was tired. Okay, let's practice charity here, shall we? Okay, he wants to talk now. Sit down and listen. Sacrifice a little bit of your sleep time and listen to your husband. Because we think charity is just from the door out. No. Charity begins at home. It begins right here. When we need to be diplomatic with one another. We need to be diplomatic. We need to really make sure there are boundaries of respect we cannot cross. Because when do we become crazy in our relationships? When we destroy these boundaries. There are things we cannot say, we cannot do because they're going to hurt. Our children should learn about that too. There are things I shouldn't do, I shouldn't say, but it begins with examples of the parents, the educators. Like if a teacher screams at a student, how can she demand that the student doesn't scream? Impossible. So here we have an opportunity for us to loosen those ties a little bit, not to discarnate, but like Chico Xavier, always focused on doing the good. Benevolence, indulgence, and forgiveness. Now I pass the word to Carol. Now we have a second moment here, deepening our conversation about death, fear, and the whole. That's right, Carol.
Yes, we will have a beautiful case study, a real life account that the Spirit Emmanuel brings to us through the beloved hands of Chico Xavier. And the case study we will study tonight is the case study of Fulvia. So allow us to share the slides to facilitate our educational moment for the soul. So as we said, dear friends, the case study is a real-life account brought to us by Emmanuel, and we are going to study tonight Fulvia in particular. First, we are going to study her incarnation and the traits that she brings forth, particularly as Vanessa explained to us, her levels of attachment to the material life. And then we are going to look into how she transitioned to the spiritual realm as a result of the life that she lived. So here we meet Fulvia. Fulvia is already hidden in the bushes here because Emmanuel shows us that she's very good at wearing masks when she is before the high society of the Roman Empire. The book 2000 years ago takes place during Master Jesus's incarnation on the earth, and Publius Lentulus, through whom we see the narrative, is a Roman senator. Fulvia is married to a lawyer at that time, and she's very good at wearing masks. She does not allow her true self to shine. She's very good at manipulating circumstances. And here we already see one of her particular personality traits, which is envy. We see that she's observing others from an angle of spite without showing herself, but acting more like a snake, trying to sneak through and construct a reality that doesn't exist. We see her here observing Pontius Pilate and Livia. She used to have a love affair with Pontius Pilate, and she feels a great attachment to him and the status that he provided to her. So she is envious of his attention to Livia. So as a result, Fulvia practices slender, wearing the mask of kindness, almost like an Oscar-winning actress. She pretends to care for Publius Lentulus' well-being and fabricates a story in which she makes Publius Lentulus believe that Livia is being unfaithful. Why is she doing this, we wonder? Because she is so attached to the status of her extramarital affair, and she's so concerned with defending her pride that for her, she will go through any length to prioritize her own needs and her own agenda while presenting herself as the most virtuous of all women. So we see, number one, great attachment to the illusion of false superiority, and number two, an incoherence between what she feels and how she acts. So according to what Vanessa explained to us, we can already assume that her links between the body and the perispiritual body, the physical body and the perispiritual body, would be quite tight and heavy because she is not prioritizing others through charity, through love. Rather, she's focusing only on herself. here, her own priorities. Her envy, spite, jealousy, and efforts towards prioritizing her own agenda goes further than we can imagine. Fulvia actually raises her daughter along the same line of behavior. From an early age, Fulvia creates this illusion in her daughter's mind, making her daughter Aurelia believe that life is a playground, that life is a Disney World, that Aurelia is entitled to get whatever she wants. Fulvia teaches her daughters either your way or the highway. Don't be concerned about anybody else. It's you, you, and you. So Fulvia adopts the Disney World type of parenting style where she falsely prepares her daughter to live in a bubble, to live in a fantasy, to prioritize only herself, and she goes to the extreme of consulting a medium of the time to see if she could manipulate her loved one, Aurelia's loved one, to leave his marriage with the help of discarnate spirits. Can you believe it, dear friends, that they even went as far as consulting the spiritual realm to have their purposes served? So this is what we mean by Disneyland type of parenting style, where the mother wrongly raises the daughter to believe that she is the queen of the world, that she should not care about anybody else, and that she should be the first on her agenda always. So we see that Fulvia's selfishness, false sense of superiority moves forward to the second generation, because we know that our feelings, our thoughts, our choices and actions as parents and educators are actually imprinted in the souls of the children that are under our tutorship, says Emmanuel in the book Thought and Life. So we see that Fulvia molded so many illusions into her daughter's soul, that her daughter is developing the same sense of selfishness and spite, not wanting to accept anything else but her own agenda and will, thinking that she is the center of the universe. And because Fulvia has not and did not focus on anything or anyone else but herself, because she cultivated spite, anger, jealousy, a false sense of superiority, thinking that the world evolved only around herself. The time of her discarnation was quite painful. Now we understand why. Because she was very materialistic. Thus, her connections to the perispiritual body were very dense. She was very attached. And also, because of the law of affinity, she connected mind to mind to other envious, discarnate spirits, who at the moment of her death came and terrorized her. And she felt so guilty for being a mother that did not prioritize teaching anything but selfishness to her daughter, for being an unfaithful wife, for being so prideful. She felt so guilty that she experienced signs of great madness, and in her physical body, she was very, very ill to the point that she could no longer move. And because her daughter was unfortunately a mere image of herself, since Fulvia imprinted those vibrations, those poisonous vibrations onto her daughter. Her daughter Aurelia was the one who poisoned her, quite literally. And then later on, Aurelia was killed as well. So we see, dear friends, that we create and co-create the transition we experience to the spiritual realm through life, that we do not experience a miraculous jump when we discarnate, that our physical death and discarnation is a reflection of who we are. So in order for us to feel where we are with regards to the life that we are co-creating, we would like to ask, what living pictures are we imprinting at this very moment on the canvas of our lives? Because when we discarnate, there will be a download of our actions, feelings, thoughts, and we will come face to face with ourselves. So are we the ones who are living the playground type of life where we just play and live merrily ever after, doing only what we want and when we want it? If we are parents, do we believe that our children need to play all day and that our job is solely to entertain them? Do we not teach them to prioritize others? Are we raising them to feel as though they are kings or queens of the world? Do we feel, as Fulvia, that the world evolves around us? Are these the kinds of thoughts, feelings, and living pictures we are imprinting? Or are we learning in this lifetime to live a more God-centered life? We, on purpose, put pictures of children in this slide because when we choose to leave the playground lifestyle or the self-centered lifestyle, it is because our inner children are dominating our inner state. And when we prioritize resignation, sacrificing our will to placing God's will first, then we are following the Master and strengthening our adult. So our last reflection question would be then, what feelings and thoughts and actions are we adding to our spiritual luggage? Fulvia added spite, anger, jealousy, selfishness, and pride. And she put those elements in her spiritual luggage. So according to the law of action and reaction, when she transitioned to the spiritual realm, she experienced the consequences of those daily choices. So can we make choices that will allow us to experience a peaceful, more joyful transition? Absolutely. Making sure that that more peaceful, joyful transition happens depends on the life that we lead. So we can make changes, adjustments for a more joyful transition now. And our dear Paloma will now offer us an example of a more peaceful transition from a life of someone who has made very different choices from our dear Fulvia, right, Paloma?
That's right, Carol. Thank you so much. As we are learning from Kardec in the book Heaven and Hell, do we fear death? No. We're just discussing that we don't fear death because Spiritism brings to us certainty that life continues. And it's not a certainty based on we think, because actually we hear messages, not me, but we hear through these books that are coming that were psychographed, and we study them, and we have our mediums that tell us what they see. It's with a certainty that life goes on, friends. And when we're talking death, is to really take away this big myth that we don't talk about this topic. So we brought some slides just to help us. In one of the big questions we have here is the difference between natural death and an accidental death. What happens? And Vanessa hinted to us, bringing from Kardec at the beginning, that it's all about the bonds between our perispirit and our physical body. This one that we can touch, we're calling it, it's the physical body, the organic matter, okay? So it's all about these bonds. So in a natural death, for example, when the physical body is slowly fading away, these connections between the perispirit and the body, they get weaker as they go, not as strong of a cohesion. So when the death of the body comes, the discarnation process is a little easier. There are less fluidic links between perispirit and the physical body matter. Little bit easier. And when that's easier, we suffer less. Our transition goes with less of a state of confusion. It's more like of a sleep time. And it's just a little bit easier. But the reality is, friends, a lot of us find ourselves in not that state because we tend to have a lot of links to many things, to people. And there was even a book we studied that Brother Jacob was showing that somebody was connected to their wallet. There was a fluidic link to the wallet. It's so surprising. But imagine that in your moment of transition, you can't go because there is this link to the wallet. That would be a sad moment, right? And so in a natural death, if somebody is slowly going, let us bless it. It's not a bad thing. It's an opportunity for this discarnation to happen naturally. Now, in an accidental death, when it suddenly happens, there is still a strong cohesion to the body. So it is very, very hard. And it makes us think of suicides. And it's a very important point for us to always remind us, because when somebody decides to commit suicide, they're thinking that they will feel less pain. And we now understand that their state will remain the same, with the same sensations, but now no body, right? Just there's no physical body, but they're still attached to it with this perispirit. So they can feel the body decomposing. It is not something anybody needs to go through, and that's the awareness that Spiritism brings to us. And it's so beautiful. Kardec summarizes. He's telling us, you and me, that the slower the disengagement of its perispirit, the more the spirit suffers. So we want to be less materialistic. So this disengagement happens faster and we can fly. Not literally speaking, but that's the sensation when we're not being grounded by a physical body that is already dead. The body is dead. And it says, the speed of the disengagement depends on the spirit's degree of moral development, which Carol just brought to us, exemplifying from the book 2,000 Years Ago, how the lack of moral development really hurt Fulvia at the end, and her death and discarnation process was really hard. She was going crazy, and she could see things, and she was bedridden. It was very hard. We can only imagine what the afterlife was for her. And it says, for the dematerialized spirit with a clear conscience, death is only a temporary sleep, free of suffering, and the awakening is very gentle. We are now going to see an example of a discarnation, very contrary to Fulvia. We're going to see more of someone that has given of himself, not a perfect person, but dedicated time to charity, and how this impacted his discarnation. So let us watch it together. Just play it.
Compreendia, mais uma vez, que há tempo de morrer como há tempo de nascer. Dimas alcançara o período de renovação, e por isso seria subtraído à forma grosseira, de modo a transformar-se para o novo aprendizado. Não fora determinado o dia exato. Atingira-se o tempo próprio. Recordando, contudo, meu caso particular, e sequioso de elucidações construtivas, ousei interrogar nosso orientador antes de regressarmos ao círculo carnal pela manhã. Padre Jerônimo, terá sido Dimas como fui suicida inconsciente?
Não, André. Nosso irmão não foi um suicida.
Então não será necessário habitar regiões de sofrimento como eu mesmo precisei.
Tem razão. Dimas desde a infância foi acostumado à luta sem mimos, desenvolvendo o próprio corpo, se envolvendo com trabalhos abnegados e incessantes. Constituiu família, pingando suor no trabalho diário. Mesmo assim, ainda encontrou tempo para se dedicar aos que gemem e sofrem, que estão num plano abaixo dele. Com o recurso da mediunidade, se envolveu com o bem coletivo. Perdeu integralmente o conforto da vida social. Como observamos, há existências que perdem pela extensão, ganhando, porém, pela intensidade. Mas já é hora de ir, André. Nossos irmãos nos esperam.
Dimas permanecia sob agitações psíquicas muito fortes. Conhecia o fim próximo do aparelho carnal. Temia o futuro dos seus. Conservava-se em total descontrole dos nervos.
Meus irmãos, que bom que vocês chegaram. O desligamento será hoje?
Sim, a resistência orgânica terminou. Já estamos autorizados a aliviá-lo. Está na hora.
Dimas, não obstante dedicado à causa do bem e compelido a grande esforço de cooperação na obra coletiva, descuidou-se de incentivar a prática metódica da oração em família no santuário doméstico. A esposa do médium, ao pé dele, mantinha-se firme ao seu lado, olhos vermelhos de chorar, emitindo forças de retenção amorosa que prendiam o moribundo em vasto emaranhado de fios cinzentos, dando-nos a impressão de peixe encarcerado em rede caprichosa. Teria de ser o primeiro empecilho a ser removido. Enquanto, através da imposição magnética, eu me esforçava para modificar-lhe as vibrações mentais, Hipólito e Luciana teceram uma rede fluídica de defesa em torno do leito para que as vibrações mentais inferiores fossem absorvidas. E Jerônimo trabalhava a fim de tranquilizar a esposa para dar continuidade à tarefa.
Querida, vai descansar. Gostaria de vê-la bem mais forte. Sinto-me bem melhor. Sinto que o dia será de calma e reconforto. Pode ir.
Tem certeza, querido?
Estou bem. Pode ir.
Meus irmãos, peço-lhes que cuidem do sono da esposa para que suas emissões mentais não nos alterem o esforço.
Através da mentalização, Jerônimo forneceu a oportunidade da oração final ao nosso amigo.
Meu Senhor Jesus Cristo, creio que atingi o fim de meu corpo, do corpo que me deste por algum tempo, como dádiva preciosa e bendita. Não te posso implorar a bênção da morte pacífica, porque nada fiz de bom ou de útil por merecê-la. Maria Santíssima, se é possível, amada Santa, socorre-me com o teu compassivo e desvelado amor. Sou agora também o menino frágil com fome do afeto maternal nesta hora suprema. Oh, se eu pudesse contar também com o socorro da abençoada mãezinha que a morte arrebatara há tantos anos.
Meu filho.
Dimas, experimentando indefinível bem-estar no regaço materno, parecia esquecer agora todas as mágoas, sentindo-se amparado, quase feliz. Ordenou Jerônimo que me conservasse vigilante, de mãos coladas à fronte do enfermo, passando logo após ao serviço complexo e silencioso de magnetização. Havíamos iniciado o desligamento. Jerônimo iniciou utilizando passes longitudinais, a fim de promover o desligamento das vísceras. A seguir, isolou todo o sistema nervoso simpático, neutralizando mais tarde as fibras inibidoras do cérebro. Começou a operar sobre o plexo solar, desatando laços que localizavam forças físicas. Com espanto, notei que certa porção de substância leitosa extravasava do umbigo, pairando em torno. Com passes concentrados sobre o tórax, relaxou os elos que mantinham a coesão celular no centro emotivo, operando sobre determinado ponto do coração. Nova cota de substância desprendia-se do corpo, do epigástrio à garganta, mas reparei que todos os músculos trabalhavam fortemente contra a partida da alma, opondo-se à libertação das forças motrizes, em esforço desesperado, ocasionando angustiosa aflição ao paciente. Alcançáramos o coma em boas condições. Era a última etapa. Concentrando todo o seu potencial de energia na fossa romboidal, Jerônimo quebrou alguma coisa que não pude perceber com minúcias, e brilhante chama violeta dourada desligou-se da região craniana, absorvendo instantaneamente a vasta porção de substância leitosa já exteriorizada. Quis fitar a brilhante luz, mas confesso que era difícil fixá-la com rigor. A chama mencionada transformou-se em maravilhosa cabeça, em tudo idêntica à do nosso amigo Enes Encarnação, constituindo-se após ela todo o corpo perispiritual de Dimas, membro a membro, traço a traço. Dimas desencarnado estava ligado ao corpo através apenas de leve cordão prateado, semelhante a um elástico entre o cérebro de matéria densa, abandonado, e o cérebro de matéria rarefeita do organismo liberto.
E agora, padre, o desencarne está completo? Aos olhos da carne, sim, mas para nós o trabalho continua. O cordão fluídico deverá permanecer por mais um dia, considerando as necessidades do morto que ainda não está preparado para o desencarne mais rápido. Pedimos à irmã que tenha a bondade de velar por ele até o momento propício.
Devido aos méritos adquiridos, foi permitido que Dimas tivesse defesas pessoais, mas a residência conservava-se à mercê da visitação de qualquer classe. As câmaras mortuárias não devem ser pontos de referência à vida social, mas recintos consagrados à oração e ao silêncio. O sentimentalismo exacerbado da família inconformada é sempre prejudicial ao processo de desligamento. No dia seguinte, retornamos ao recinto doméstico onde cortaríamos o fio derradeiro que o ligava aos despojos. Estávamos a postos 2 horas antes de organizar-se o cortejo fúnebre. Reparei que o médium liberto tinha agora o corpo perispiritual mais aperfeiçoado, mais concreto. Jerônimo examinou-o, auscultou-o como clínico experimentado. Em seguida, cortou o liame final. Dimas livre, Dimas espírito, despertava.
Mãe?
Friends, oops, we don't want to start again. We want to go to our last slide. After watching this, a beautiful discarnation and feeling this warmness that life goes on. We don't fear it. We have a certainty that we continue and our loved one continues. And this is how Kardec finishes this very chapter on the book Heaven and Hell, which is called The Fear of Death. He says, for spiritists, he's talking to us, the soul is not an abstraction. It has an ethereal body, which makes it a defined being. Again, we are not saying, I think, it's a possibility. It's a certainty. The perispirit is matter. It's just not how we see it, but it exists as a fact. It can be grasped and perceived through thought, which is sufficient for it to clarify for us its individuality, aptitudes, and perceptions. What does this mean? Is that we can communicate with thought, friends. We keep saying it. Emmanuel brought the book to us, Thought is Life, or Thought in Life. And our loved ones can perceive us, and we can perceive them. It's so beautiful. The memory of those who are dear to us rests upon something real. They are no longer portrayed as fleeing flames that speak nothing to our thoughts, but as a concrete form that more than anything show themselves to be living beings. And with certainty, we can say that Allan Kardec is connected to us at this moment, because we just learned that we're connected by thought, and he's the one that wrote this through the spirits. And we are here rejoicing that life continues because of him. So we finished with that, and just so special. We can hear you, Vanessa. Really special, right, Paloma? Oh my goodness. Right, Carol. Wow, so powerful.
Right, very powerful.
So for us who are experiencing a pandemic, this talk comes to console our hearts, to be assured that we're never abandoned, but we need to do our part. So you and I are being invited to do our share for our own benefit. All right. So when you were called to participate or to pray for those who discarnated recently, let us remember of this and be of help. Because if we send good thoughts, good feelings, pray for them, instead of talking about them, etc., we just pray, we think of good things to help in their new phase. Because one day it's going to be us. So we want to give what we want to receive, right? All right. So now we're going to march to the end with a passus and a prayer that Paloma is going to lead us into. Let us close our eyes and keeping this joyful feeling that life goes on, visualizing yourselves as spirits, spirits that go beyond the physical body. Let us also visualize the spiritual world, visualizing its beautiful colors, flowers, nature all around, and spirits that have already transitioned, smiling, happy. Let us visualize us being embraced, feeling serene, feeling calm, peaceful, resigned. Let us also visualize hospitals that have people that are transitioning at this very moment. Let us use these joyful feelings that we are feeling right now to vibrate to them. Let us vibrate peace and love. Let us visualize spiritual doctors and nurses applying magnetic passes. Let us visualize it being a moment so serene, so beautiful, tranquil. Dear loving Master Jesus, first and foremost, we want to thank you for sending so many messengers to deliver beautiful teachings to us. This very topic of death inspires us inspires us because we now understand that we don't just disappear. Nobody does. Inspires us to do more today, to give of ourselves to others, to spend time with others. It teaches us the dynamics of life. It exemplifies to us how we should model our life as a spirit. We pray, Master, that we pay close attention to these teachings and that we try to apply ourselves to it every single day. We pray that our day-to-day is less materialistic, that our attachments to things are minimized, and that we are able to focus on what matters the most. We pray that we can take this reincarnation as the most precious one, understanding that life can transition at any moment. And with that, loving Master, we ask for your permission and your protection to close these moments of tonight, and so be it. Thank you, Paloma. Thank you, Carol. Thank you, friends. If you have any question or a comment that you didn't share, you want to pass it on to us, write to kardecradio@gmail.com. And stay tuned because at 11 p.m. there is more with the Spirit of Truth. Thank you so much, friends. Bye-bye.